Welcome back, Pokemon trainers. Professor Chaz here. The lab coat's on back order, bringing you another Pokemon TCG Online live match. Now, I'm going to try my hand at a different style of deck this week. There's a strategy you can do in certain collectible card games called milling the opponent. Now, in Pokemon TCG, one of the ways to win is if at the start of your opponent's turn they have no cards in their deck to draw. If that happens, they lose the game then and there, and you win. So, one potential strategy is to try to get your opponent to run out of their deck. Now, when the new Roaring Skies expansion came out, I saw some potential for a mill deck in this new Pokemon Ninjask, which, as you'll see in the video, basically it allows you to mill cards from your opponent's deck. And with the new Ancient Origins expansion, there's a few cards that came into play, some trainer cards, that I thought might actually be a good addition to a Ninjask deck. Now, I've never really done a mill deck before. It's a whole different mindset. You got to think, you're not in the battle to get knockouts and, rack damage up on the opponent. You're just trying to get them to lose cards. So this might be a little bit of a little training session for myself just to see if I can do a mill deck. And if so, maybe I can improve it later on. But let's take a look at the deck that I put together and see what we can do with it. So let's take a look at the mill deck I've created on Pokemon TCG Online, which I call Ninja Buzz. Now, it's going to focus mainly on these particular Pokemon here, Ninjask. The ability Wing Buzz says once during your turn before your attack, if this is your active Pokemon, you may discard a card from your hand. If you do, discard the top card from your opponent's deck. So this is going to be the main, or I guess the only real way we're going to discard cards. Oh, there's something else I have in mind as well. But this is going to be the main way. So every turn I'm going to be able to discard a card from hand and cause the opponent to lose one off the top of the deck. And the attack is pretty decent. After Image Assault, does 30 damage, and it says search your deck for up to 2 Ninjask and put them onto your bench. Shuffle your deck afterward. Now this is a rare instance of a pretty cool thing where you can put a Stage 1 Pokemon into play directly without having to evolve it from the, required basic Pokemon. And when this happens, it's technically, although it's a Stage 1 which evolves from something, if you put it into play directly, it's not considered an evolved Pokemon because there's no basic or lower form underneath it. So anything that actually would apply to things that say, all evolved Pokemon do this or that, a Ninjask put into play that way actually would not be affected by that. It's not really going to come into play in this deck, but it's just an interesting little tidbit to mention. So I've got 4 Ninjask in the deck. I'm only going to go with 3 Nincada. Now the reason is, since we're able to get Ninjask into play using the After Image Assault, we don't need as many basic Nincada in play to be able to get these Ninjask into play. For the most part, I'm only going to want to try to get 2 Ninjask into play anyway, so that I can use their Wing Buzz ability. Nice thing about Ninjask is the free retreat cost, which means if one of them is active when I start my turn, I can use its Wing Buzz, and then I can retreat it to the bench and bring the other one active, and then use Wing Buzz a second time that turn. If I actually have a third Ninjask in play, and if I have a way to swap the Pokemon again, for example, a switch card, I'm going to be able to do 3 Wing Buzzes in one turn, cutting out 3 of the opponent's cards from the top of the deck. Now, another important Pokemon in this deck is going to be Yanmega. Mainly, I want it in the deck for draw support, with the first attack Windfall, shuffle your hand into your deck, then draw 6 cards. So since Ninjask has to discard cards from hand to be able to use Wing Buzz, you want to be able to get a decent hand of cards every once in a while. Using Wing Buzz a lot is going to really diminish your own hand of cards, and you're basically going to start to run out and won't have options to use Wing Buzz. So Yanmega is going to help us with that with the Windfall, and I've got 2 of those and 3 Yanma to help get it into play. And another thing with Yanmega, it also has free retreat costs. So this is going to be a good deck of field control. You're going to be able to swap your Pokemon back and forth as need be. I've also included 2 Weedle with the multiply attack. Search your deck for a Weedle and put it onto your bench, and then shuffle your deck afterward. Mainly, I want Kakuna in play, because with the Harden attack, during your opponent's next turn, if this Pokemon would be damaged by an attack, prevent that attack's damage done to this Pokemon if that damage is 60 or less. So it might take a few turns to get things set up the way I need them to have my Ninjask and Yanmega in play. Kakuna is basically going to be a stall tactic. So being able to harden and prevent damage could save us a few turns to help us get set up a little bit quicker. So that's it for the Pokemon. There's only 16 total in this deck. The majority of the cards, as you can see from the top, is the 35 trainer cards. going to take a look at these in order. I've got 2 Energy Recycler in the deck, which says shuffle 5 basic energy cards from your discard pile into your deck. So we're going to be basically using the Wing Buzz from Ninjask and discarding certain cards if possible, one of which is going to be basic energy. Because with 2 of these Energy Recyclers in the deck, we're going to be able to shuffle 5 basic energy back into the deck. I've got 2 Escape Ropes. This is going to be one of the options we have to swap Pokemon on our side of the field, because you can technically only do 1 retreat per turn, but an Escape Rope will allow me to put, basically do a second swap of the turn. If I have 3 Ninjask in play, that's going to enable me to do those 3 Wing Buzzes. And we want to try to keep our Pokemon from getting knocked out, because without the Pokemon in play, there goes our mill strategy. So I've got 2 freshwater sets in here. I'm going to heal 20 damage from each of your Pokemon. And to help us find our Pokemon to get them into play quicker, we've included 3 level balls, which let you search for a Pokemon with 90 HP or less from within your deck. I've got 2 Pal Pads here because we're going to be using some supporters, and we want to be able to retrieve cards from our own discard pile after we've used Wing Buzz. And we have a few supporters in the deck, so we're going to be able to use Pal Pad to shuffle 2 of our supporter cards back into our own deck. I've also got 2 Professor's Letters in here to draw 2 basic energy from your deck. 2 Sacred Ash, because these allow you to shuffle 5 Pokemon from your discard pile into your deck. Which means when we're using Wing Buzz, we're going to be discarding Pokemon as well. Don't worry, we can get them back with the Sacred Ash. I've got 3 Switch cards in here to enable us to get another Wing Buzzer active. And 2 Trick Shovels. Kind of like the Wing Buzz, but it's a little bit different. It says to look at the top card of either player's deck, you may discard that card or return it to the top of the deck. For the most part, we're going to be using this just to discard another card from my opponent's deck, but it could come in handy in other ways, like if the opponent, for example, has just a few cards left and the top card I see is Sycamore, I might leave that on the deck because it's up to them if they're going to play that and risk decking themselves out. Then if I use another Trick Shovel next turn, there might be a better card for me to get rid of. I've got 2 Ultra Balls here to help us find Pokemon, and 1 AZ, because this is another way we can get a second or a third Wing Buzz Pokemon active. If we use AZ to pull back the active one at the time, we can bring a Ninjask from the bench up. And we got 2 Pokemon Center Ladies to heal 60 damage and special conditions from one of our Pokemon. Going to be useful to keep our Pokemon in play. 1 Professor Sycamore, just in case we need to get a full hand of 7 cards and we don't yet have the Yanmega in play. We're going to be able to get some more cards to help us get more things set up. 2 Team Flare Grunts. These will let you discard an energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon, because something about this deck is it's not focused on getting knockouts. It's just about milling the opponent down. We want to be able to keep our Pokemon from getting knocked out. Discarding the opponent's energy is a good way to do that. Since we have nothing but grass Pokemon, I have included from the new set, Forest of Giant Plants. Each player's grass Pokemon can evolve during their first turn, or the turn you play those Pokemon. So this can help you get your Ninjask, your Yanmega, and Kakuna into play a little bit quicker. The main stadium we're going to use, though, is the Training Center. Each Stage 1 and Stage 2 Pokemon in play gets plus 30 HP. So that, coupled with some handy hard charms, which I have 4 of in the deck, it's going to help keep your Pokemon, with HP, able to survive some turns. And as for the energy cost, so those are all 35 trainers. The energy card count is 7 basic grass energy and a couple of double colorless, just so we can power up Yanmega for a surprise strike, because at some point we might actually want to land a surprise strike on the opponent if they have a really strong Pokemon that is just knocking us out left and right. At least Yanmega, if it comes up from the bench and attacks that turn, you're going to do 50 plus 50 more with the surprise strike. So it could save us, perhaps, a few knockouts if we take out a strong opponent. So that is a basic rundown of the deck. Again, the main strategy is using Wing Buzz to discard primarily basic energy and Pokemon from hand, retrieving them using the Energy Recycler and Sacred Ash, and just trying to mill the opponent down. Something that I find difficult with using this deck, because a mill deck is not my usual kind of strategy. I have to get out of the mindset of we're not in this match to attack and get knockouts. We're just in it to make the opponent lose cards. So let's see if I can keep sight of that goal as I play this match coming up. Let's get into it and see how well I do. Alright, we're going up against Emulated Fire. This sounds kind of dangerous for my grass-themed deck. So the coin flip is tossed, and we get choice. We're going to take the first turn to try to get ourselves set up, and no basics. Alright, let's try that again. And no basics. So I am running only, I believe, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9 basics, I think, in the deck. But that 3 mulligans was a little absurd. Oh well. Nothing more can be done about it right now. So we do have a basically decent setup. We can get our Yanmega into play relatively fast. We see we're facing a Charizard-EX. So I'm going to throw an energy to the Yanma. Let's go, well, get a level ball. The opponent says I might as well give up now. I don't think I'm going to, though. I think I'll try to stick this out. Call me crazy. But it wouldn't be much of a game if I just gave in. I'm going to Ultra Ball away the Training Center and an energy. Let's grab Yanmega. But that's going to be all we're going to do for the turn. We'll end it here and pass it over to the opponent. Now we do have a Team Flare Grunt. We're going to be able to get rid of an energy off of the active Pokemon on the opposing side. You see the Pokeball has been thrown, and it does snag a capture. So they get to search their deck for any Pokemon card, and that's going to be Entei. So we're up against a Charizard-EX and a number of legendary Pokemon. Ooh, Lucky Helmet. It's always a nice card to attach to your active Pokemon. If I damage the Charizard, he's going to get 2 cards drawn. So we're going to go right ahead and Team Flare Grunt away that fighting energy. We're going to go ahead and play the Trick Shovel, and let's take a look at the opponent's deck. Top card is the Fire Energy. Well, let's choose to discard that. Alright, let's get Yanmega into play. And now with the 1 Grass Energy, we're going to do a Windfall. Shuffle our hand into the deck and draw 6 new cards. So we did draw a Ninjask out of that, which is pretty good. They're going to go for Stoke again. If they flip a heads, they're going to get up to 3 basic energy from the deck onto the active Pokemon here, Charizard. Now they're powered up to use their Fire Blast. So I'm going to play a Ninjask. We're going to drop a Weedle down. We're going to use the Escape Rope and force him out. So they're going to bring up one of their bench Pokemon. Basically going to slow down that Charizard from being able to attack us. And we'll bring up our Ninjask. So first order of business, we're going to Wing Buzz and get rid of this Yanma to discard the top card of his deck. And with not much more to do, we're going to retreat. And let's do Windfall again. And my music stopped. I forgot it's not on repeat. There we go. So if they do have a switch card, they're going to be able to bring that Charizard back up, or if they can retreat Entei with 2 energy. So they're going to play the same game we are. We're going to be discarding energies back and forth. Okay. So this is going to discard the top 4 cards of the deck, and if they're Fire Energy, attach them to their Pokemon in any way they like. That's powering up Combat Blaze. This does 20 damage more for each of your opponent's bench Pokemon. So we're not going to want to put too many more bench ones in play. Okay, so next order of business, we're going to put a Hard Charm on the Yanmega. Now we will retreat, bring up Ninjask. We're going to Wing Buzz away this Weedle. The opponent loses another card from the deck. And let's play an energy, or a Professor's Letter to get energy. 2 Grass Energy. And we'll attach an energy to the Yanmega. We've already retreated for the turn, but we're going to pull a little trick. We're going to use an AZ to bring this Ninjask away and bring up Yanmega. We'll put Ninkata back down onto the bench, and we're going to do a Windfall. So fortunately, although we did shuffle away the Ninjask, it just came right back to us. And with that hard charm attached, we're going to be able to survive some hits unless that Charizard comes up right away. Actually, wait. No, we will survive the Fire Blast. Just barely, but we hung in there. Alright, so let's see. We've got a Ninjask down here. We're going to play the Training Center to boost all of our Stage 1's HP. And let's Freshwater set, heal 20. It's not going to make too much of a difference at the moment. But we're going to retreat and bring up the Ninjask. Play another Nincada. And we'll do a Wing Buzz. I think we'll get rid of that Pal Pad. And let us drop an energy, a double colorless, onto the Yanmega. We're going to play a switch, bring Yanmega active. Now we can use our Surprise Strike for 50 plus 50 because we were on the bench this turn. A nice 100 damage to Charizard-EX. Of course, the Lucky Helmet does give them 2 energy. Or 2 cards, I should say. So the Pokemon Center Lady heals 60. And they're going to be able to Fire Blast once again. And we will not be able to take the hit this time. So down goes the Yanmega. And down goes the music. I keep forgetting. I gotta keep my hand on the play button. Okay, so we have 100 HP. We could give the Hard Charm to Nincada, but it's not going to survive the Fire Blast, even with the Hard Charm. So we're going to retreat. Or should we just... No, we're going to hang on to that. We're going to retreat and send up a Weedle. Yeah, Yanmega is a pretty cool Pokemon. So that's all I can do for the turn. Sorry, Weedle, this is going to hurt. A super effective Fire Blast from Charizard-EX. At 0 retreat cost. See, my opponent knows what's up. The free retreat is just so powerful to be able to control your side of the battlefield. One thing I'm not running in this deck is Lysandre, which, like I've said before, most really good decks should have at least one Lysandre card. But since this deck isn't focused around attacking and getting knockouts on the opponent, Lysandre is really not necessary in this particular kind of a deck. So all we have is a double colorless. Let's just Wing Buzz that away anyhow. And we're going to retreat back to the bench. Nincada, you're taking the next hit. Our resources are running rather limited, unfortunately, at this point. And just as the opponent plays another Charizard-EX. The Pokeball is good. A Pokemon is being selected, and it's Ponyta. Now see, since we are running on basically a time limit right now, the opponent is only down to 18 cards, but that's plenty to be able to see him through to victory of this match. Mill decks are a little bit tricky. I was going to say, this would be the perfect time to pull a Sycamore, but unfortunately it did not happen. Let's just Wing Buzz that away and end the turn. This is the final turn of the match, unless they don't have any energy. That would be something. There's the energy. They're going to go for a Fire Blast. Nope, I forgot about the weakness. 220 damage. And down we go. The Mill deck has not succeeded against the might of Charizard-EX. It's unfortunate, but when you're facing against the EX Pokemon, you kind of have to expect a loss, perhaps here or there. Good game, Emulated Fire. You emulated it quite well. But I did some damage, apparently. Oh yeah, the Surprise Strike. And so, unfortunately, the Ninja Buzz Mill deck did not perform to expectations, or I should say hopes. It kind of did perform to expectations. I had a feeling when we went up against EX Pokemon, we weren't going to hold out that well. And I'm not going to blame my Pokemon for this. I'm going to take full blame, full responsibility for the loss this week, simply because Mill deck has like a whole different mindset to it. Like I find it hard to not try to attack the opponent. Mostly with the Mill deck, you want to just try to take out their cards. And a good example of a Mill deck was used in the regionals down in the United States, I think back in July. The Wailord-EX Mill deck. I've mentioned it a few times in my videos. If you haven't seen this deck, look it up. You know, it's on Pokemon.com. They have all the deck lists and things. So you can check out how they did theirs. But I know a couple things that I could do with this deck. And I'll show you here. One good Pokemon I should think to include is Beautifly. Since we did face a lot of EX Pokemon, Beautifly's Miraculous Scales ability will be a good stall tactic. It's going to prevent all damage done to Beautifly by the opponent's Pokemon EX. So if we have that in the active spot, it's also got free retreat too, which would be a beneficial add-on to this deck. It's going to slow the opponent down simply because EX Pokemon aren't going to be able to touch it. Another option I could include is this particular Pokemon with an ancient trait, Bunnelby. So Omega Barrage allows this Pokemon to attack twice, and the Burrow attack says to discard the top card of your opponent's deck. So if I had that in play, I'd be able to discard 2 additional cards on top of whatever I discard with the Ninjask ability. So those are a couple additions I could make. I might consider revamping this deck for like a future video, but for the time being, we're going to call it the end of the line for Ninja Buzz. Let me know what you think of this down below. Leave a comment. Tell me what you think of the deck. If you have any suggestions on how to improve it, I am all ears. Feel free to leave some suggestions. And if you want to see a deck for next week's video featuring any of the new cards from the Ancient Origins expansion, leave that in the comment as well down below, and I'll see what I can do to try to compile a deck using that card or those cards. Alright, thanks for checking out this video, and I'll catch you next time.